1961, in the steel town of Homestead, Pennsylvania, a woman named Stella Marchetti kept her family out of debt with 9 paper envelopes in a kitchen drawer. Her husband Joe worked the open hearth and never earned more than $7,000 a year. In 30 years, they never carried a balance, never missed a bill, never borrowed a dime. 8 envelopes Stella opened all month long, but the 9th she sealed, wrote one word across, and opened exactly once. Once, nearly every working household ran this way: cash, envelopes, and rules a mother enforced at the kitchen table, not an app or a credit line. Then the banks handed us plastic, called the envelopes old-fashioned, and the debt rolled in like a tide. Stella never opened that door, and her 9th envelope is where every rule on this list is heading. Number 14 is why this family was never once ambushed by a bill, not the insurance, not the taxes, not the furnace. Number 4 is the single rule that made the system impossible to break, the one the banks spent 40 years teaching us to forget. And number 1 is the word Stella wrote on that 9th envelope, the reason a steel worker's family stayed out of debt, not for a year, but for life. This was not about being poor. It was about deciding where every dollar went before it could decide for you. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the genius envelope system that kept a steel worker's family out of debt for life, one envelope at a time. Number 20. Cash the whole check. The system started the same way every Friday. Joe brought home his mill wages, about $130 a week. Stella walked it to the teller and turned all of it into cash. Not most, all. No checking account stood between the family and its money, no balance to guess at, no digits on a screen. The money came home as a stack of bills on the kitchen table, where she could count it and hold it. You cannot lie to yourself about money in your hand. After the 1970s, the paycheck vanished into an account and turned abstract. Abstract money is the easiest kind to overspend. Stella kept hers physical on purpose. The teller at the Homestead branch knew her by name, knew the ritual, the whole check, every Friday, turned to bills. Her own mother had run a house this way through the Depression. Stella learned at that table that money you cannot see is money you cannot control. Cash was not old-fashioned. Cash was honest. Number 19, give every dollar a job. With the cash on the table, Stella did what almost no one does now. She gave every dollar a job before she spent one. 9 envelopes came out of the drawer, each labeled in her hand: rent, groceries, gas, utilities, insurance, clothing, church, Christmas, and the 9th. She counted cash into each, same order, every payday. When the last dollar landed, the whole check was gone, not spent, but assigned. Most families spend first and count what's left. Stella decided first and left nothing to chance. Money without a job wanders off. Money with a job stays and works. The children watched the cash disappear into its labeled homes, learning the rhythm without being taught. This is the whole system in one act. Decide first, then spend, never the other way around. By the time the drawer closed, the month was already won. Number 18, fill the roof envelope first. The order was never random. It was a ladder, and the roof stood at the top. Before groceries, before anything, Stella counted the rent into its envelope and sealed it. The family would eat lighter before they would ever risk the house. On $7,000 a year, the one thing that could truly ruin them was made safe before the month began. Stella had watched mill families lose their homes in a bad stretch, a strike, a slowdown, a layoff. She swore it would never be them. Fill the most important envelope first, and a shortfall anywhere else cannot sink you. The rent was not a bill she hoped to pay. It was the first thing she made certain of, every single payday. The Kowalskis 3 doors down lost their house the year the mill cut shifts. Stella never forgot the moving truck. Her roof envelope was sealed before the milkman was ever paid. Number 17. The grocery envelope was a hard wall. Groceries were the biggest flexible cost, so Stella built the firmest wall around them. $25 a week went into the envelope. When it was gone, the shopping stopped. No dipping into next week. No running to a card. If it ran thin by Thursday, she made soup from the ham bone and pulled jars from the cellar. The children never knew a lean Thursday from a flush Monday. Her skill hid the seams. This is where modern budgets bleed out. A food bill with no bottom, refilled forever on plastic. Stella gave it a bottom. The envelope held what it held, and that was the whole of it. Decades later, experts would sell this exact idea under new names and call it a breakthrough. Stella just called it the grocery envelope. A grocery budget with no hard limit is not a budget. It is a wish with a receipt. Number 16. Seal each envelope the moment it's full. This was a small move that did quiet work. Once an envelope held its share, Stella licked it shut. Sealed. A sealed envelope is harder to open than an open one, and that half-second of friction was the whole point. To spend from it, she had to tear it, and tearing made her think. An open wallet invites the impulse. A sealed envelope interrupts it. She resealed with tape after each planned purchase, so the barrier stood again by morning. The seal cost nothing. It bought a pause, and in that pause, 100 small, unnecessary purchases quietly died before they were ever made. It was not about the paper. It was about the pause the paper forced. A wallet says yes too easily. A sealed envelope makes you ask twice. That second question is where a budget is won or lost. Number 15. The bill envelopes were never late. Utilities and gas each had an envelope filled a little every payday. The money was always waiting when the bill came. Stella never scrambled. The light bill's cash had been sitting in the light bill's envelope since the first. When the statement arrived, she opened the envelope, counted the exact amount, and paid it in full on time. She kept the paid stubs on a spike by the icebox, a little spear of proof that nothing slipped through. A late fee never crossed the Marchetti door in 30 years. Then came the automatic payment, which promised to handle this and taught families never to look at a bill at all. Stella looked at every one. The envelope was ready before the bill was. She read each statement line by line, caught every error, and questioned every increase. That is running your money instead of being run by it.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. A guide for people like us who still believe the old ways worked best. It's the forgotten money rules that working-class families live by. The kind that built real wealth on a single income, so you never have to live paycheck to paycheck again. But this wisdom is disappearing, and once it's gone for good. I've put together 2 books for you, plus a free bonus. Imagine how much more peace of mind you could have a year from now by putting these forgotten habits back to work. Scan.
Number 14. The Insurance Sinking Fund. Here is the trick that kept the family from ever being ambushed. The car insurance came due twice a year in one painful lump. So Stella broke it into 26 small pieces and tucked one into the envelope every payday. When the premium arrived in spring, the money was already there. She opened the envelope and paid it whole. No flinch, no loan. Most families are wrecked not by their monthly bills, but by the big ones they forget are coming. Stella never forgot. The envelope remembered for her. Twice a year, the premium landed on the mat, and twice a year it changed nothing in the house. A bill you have saved for is not an emergency. It is just a Tuesday. Stop here. This is why it worked when modern budgets fail. It was never really about the envelopes. It was about friction. When Stella pulled a 5 out of the grocery envelope, she felt it leave. The envelope thinned. The stack shrank. The loss was real and visible in her hand. Spending cash hurts a little. That small hurt keeps a budget honest. A card removes the hurt entirely. The money turns abstract. The limit goes invisible. The mind cannot feel a number on a screen the way it feels a bill leaving a hand. Study after study now confirms what Stella knew by instinct. People spend less and think harder when they pay in cash. The envelopes made money physical and finite. It ran out, visibly, and told you to stop. The banks did not kill the envelope because it failed. They killed it because it worked too well. A family that cannot overspend is a family the bank cannot lend to. Number 13. The car repair envelope. Stella knew the car would break. Every car does. So she saved for the breakdown before it came. A few dollars went into the repair envelope every payday, aimed at a bill she could not yet name. When the transmission finally died on the old Ford, the neighbors expected the Marchettis to be sunk. Instead, Stella opened the envelope, counted out the cash, and had it fixed by the weekend. No loan, no panic. The repair that ruins one family is a shrug to another. The difference is a few dollars, set aside every week for the trouble you know is coming. Stella did not fear the breakdown. She had already paid for it. Her neighbor financed his repair over 18 months and paid nearly double. Stella paid once, in cash, and moved on. Same repair. Two different lives. Number 12. The Christmas envelope. All year long, $1 or $2 went into the Christmas envelope. By December, it held enough to pay for the whole holiday in cash. Gifts, tree, the big dinner, all from an envelope that had been filling since January. Other Homestead families spent December borrowing and January repaying it with interest. The Marchettis opened their presents owing no one a cent. This is the oldest sinking fund there is. Christmas is not a surprise. It lands on the same day every year. Stella refused to be ambushed by a date on the calendar. The envelope did not just buy gifts. It bought a January with no bill in it. While the neighbors dreaded the mailbox, the Marchettis started the new year even. 50 weeks of $1 or $2 beats one December of regret. Number 11. The clothing envelope. Clothes came from their own envelope, and the rule was plain. Buy little, buy well, buy only from the envelope. Stella shopped when it had enough, not when the mood struck. She bought things built to last and be handed down. One good winter coat passed through all 3 Marchetti children before it wore out. When the envelope emptied, the shopping stopped until it filled again. Then came cheap, endless clothing bought on impulse with a card, and the closet became one of the great leaks of the modern home. Stella's closet leaked nothing. She sewed and mended by lamplight, turning collars and letting out hems. The envelope decided, and the envelope was patient. Number 10. The giving envelope, off the top. For the Marchettis, giving came first, off the top, like the rent. A fixed share of Joe's wage went to the church envelope every payday before the family spent a cent on itself. It was faith. It was also discipline. A family that gives first has already proven it controls its money rather than the other way around. On $7,000 a year, that envelope was never large. It never once missed. The habit of paying something important first, before the wants line up, is the same muscle that fills a savings envelope. Give off the top, and everything beneath it falls in order. The families Stella watched slide into debt had one thing in common. Nothing came off the top, so nothing was ever truly first. What comes first tells the truth about what you value. Number 9. The change. Jar fed the envelopes. Nothing escaped the system, not even loose coins. Every night, Joe emptied his pockets into a mason jar on the shelf. Pennies, nickels, the odd quarter. Once a month, Stella rolled the coins and fed them into whichever envelope ran shortest. In a good month, the jar filled an envelope by itself. It was small money, treated as if it mattered because it did. Most families let the coins scatter and vanish. Stella swept everyone back into the plan. A dollar ignored is a dollar lost. A dollar captured is a dollar at work. The jar proved the whole philosophy in miniature. Nothing was too small to have a job. A modern family loses more than that jar held to fees it never reads. Stella lost nothing to anyone. The coins came home, and the coins went to work. Number 8. Roll the surplus forward, never out. Sometimes an envelope came in under. A mild winter left $8 or $10 in the gas envelope. A careful stretch left a few in groceries. The rule was ironclad. That money did not become a treat. It stayed in its envelope and rolled forward. Over time, every envelope grew a quiet buffer. A heavy month could no longer break the system. Stella never said, "We came in under, let's celebrate." She said, "We came in under, so we're a little stronger." The modern instinct spends any surplus the moment it appears. Hers let it build where it already sat. Surplus that stays put becomes a wall. Surplus that gets spent becomes nothing at all. After a few years, no single envelope could be emptied by one bad month. Each had grown a cushion of its own. The buffers were invisible, and they were everywhere. Number 7. The weekly reckoning. The system lived because Stella tended it every week. Every Sunday, she sat at the kitchen table with the envelopes, the bills, and a 5-cent notebook. She reconciled the whole thing by hand. What came in, what went out, what each envelope held, what was coming. Half an hour every week. That half hour made all the other rules real. A system nobody checks quietly drifts. A system reviewed every Sunday cannot drift far before it is caught. Joe rarely looked, but he knew the reckoning happened, and that certainty was its own kind of peace. What gets reviewed gets kept. When a category drifted, she caught it small, a grocery envelope running hot, a bill creeping up, and adjusted the next payday. A small leak caught early never became a flood. Stella reviewed her money 52 times a year for 30 years, and it never once got away from her. Go back to the winter of 1959. The system was young and about to be tested. That year, the Great Steel Strike shut the mills for months. Homestead went cold and quiet. Joe's wages stopped. Up and down the street, families living paycheck to paycheck fell apart in weeks. Behind on rent, into the store's credit. Some lost everything. The Marchettis did not. Every envelope had been rolling its surplus forward for years. The family had cushions in places most households did not even have accounts. They ate from Stella's full pantry. They paid the rent from the buffer in the roof envelope. It was lean, and it was frightening, and they made it through without borrowing a dollar. When the mill reopened, they had not slid back an inch. That winter, Stella's children finally understood. The envelopes were not their mother being strict. They were their mother building a wall, the same wall that led to the 9th envelope. Number 6, teach the children the system. Stella did not leave it to chance. She taught all 3 children before they could earn. Each one sat at the table at 10 years old and learned the whole thing in an afternoon. Every dollar gets a job. When it's empty, you stop. Never borrow from Christmas to cover the groceries. She walked her youngest to the bank to open a passbook with a single dollar, stamped by hand. All 3 grew up to run envelopes of their own. The lesson cost Stella nothing. It costs the banks a fortune in interest never paid, which is exactly why no one teaches it for them. It was not a lecture. It was an inheritance. No money changed hands, and it was worth more than money. All 3 carried it into their own kitchens, and none of them ever drowned in debt. Number 5, the whole system lived in one drawer. There was no secret to where the money was. It sat in the kitchen drawer, 9 envelopes, the notebook, the coin jar, all in one place. Anyone in the family could open it and see exactly where things stood. Nothing was hidden. Nothing required a password, a statement, or a phone. The money lived where the family lived, in plain sight every day. Modern money hides in apps, in accounts, behind screens you have to go looking for. What you do not see, you do not guard. Stella's money was always in view, always in reach, always real. One drawer held the whole of it, and because she could see it, she never once lost track of it. No login, no balance to check on a screen. Just a drawer she opened every Friday and knew by heart. Number 4, when the envelope is empty, you stop. Here is the rule that made the system unbreakable. When an envelope was empty, that was the end. Not a signal to find more money, a signal to stop. If groceries ran out on Thursday, the family ate from the house until Friday. If the clothing envelope was empty, the coat waited. No card, no overdraft, no, just this once. The empty envelope was the whole discipline in a single moment. You want a thing, the money is gone, and you accept that it is gone. In 30 years, Stella never once broke it. Every debt trap ever built lives in the gap between an empty envelope and a person who will not stop. Stella never lived in that gap. Empty meant empty. A family that honors that one word can never be buried in debt. Number 3, never borrow between the envelopes. The empty envelope rule bred one temptation, and Stella shut the door on it cold. When one envelope ran dry, you did not raid another. If groceries came up short, you did not pull from gas or from Christmas to cover them. Each envelope's money was sacred to its own purpose. Rob one to pay another, and the whole thing rots from the inside. If groceries borrowed from Christmas in March, then Christmas came up short in December, and the structure collapses one small theft at a time. Stella held every envelope separate and inviolate. The walls between them were the point. Her oldest once asked why she would not just move a few dollars over. She said, the day you knock down one wall to patch another, you have started tearing down the house. 9 envelopes, 9 separate promises. She kept every one. Number 2, feed the 9th envelope every payday, no matter what. After the other 8 were filled, one thing remained. A few dollars every single payday went into the 9th. It came last, but it never got skipped. Not in a lean week, not in a hard month, not the winter money was tight and every other envelope ran thin. The 9th still got its few dollars because Stella knew exactly what it was for. Most families save whatever is left, which is nothing. Stella put the 9th first in importance, even when it came last in order. A little, relentlessly for 30 years, in the dark of a drawer. The amount was never large. The streak was never broken. Some weeks it was $2, some weeks it was 50 cents. It did not matter. What mattered was that it never missed. That is how a wall gets built, not in one payday, but in 1,000. Number 1. The 9th envelope. Here it is, the envelope Stella sealed and set at the back of the drawer. The one she opened only once in 30 years. Across the front, in her careful hand, one word: never. Inside was the family's true emergency fund, and the word was a vow. Never touch it, never borrow against it, never spend it on anything short of catastrophe. It was the wall between the Marchettis and the one thing Stella feared more than any bill, the day a family runs out of everything and has no choice left but a bank. She opened it exactly once. The winter Joe's back gave out at the mill and the paychecks stopped for 4 months. The 9th envelope carried them through. Not one loan, not one late payment. The day Joe went back to the open hearth, Stella rebuilt it and sealed it shut again. That is the whole reason a steelworker's family stayed out of debt, not for a year, but for a lifetime. The 8 envelopes ran the month. The 9th made sure they would never have to beg. It was not a budget, it was a wall, and Stella spent 30 years making sure it never came down. Stella Marchetti died in her own paid-for house, the same Homestead neighborhood where she raised 3 children on 9 envelopes and a steelworker's wage. She never earned a dollar of her own. She built more security than most families manage on 2 incomes today. The system cost nothing. No app, no advisor, no interest, no fees, only a drawer, some paper, and a woman who refused to spend a dollar she had not first given a job. They told us the envelopes were primitive, that plastic was progress, that a modern family had outgrown counting cash at a table. We believed it. We have been in debt ever since, but the system never stopped working. Money still behaves exactly the way it did in Stella's kitchen. Give every dollar a purpose. Stop when the envelope is empty. Keep one envelope you swear never to open. Somewhere in a drawer, that 9th envelope is still the whole secret. A wall made of paper holding back a lifetime of debt for anyone patient enough to build it. It does not take a fortune to start. It takes a payday and a handful of envelopes. Stella Marchetti was poorer than her neighbors and freer than all of them. The envelopes are still in the drawer. They always worked. They work still. This is historical content, not financial advice. Consult a professional for your situation.